Is the traditional leather cleaning brush safe for leather or not? This is a very controversial question which not even the leather experts in the field of car care do agree on. Because depending on who you ask, one person will tell you they are safe, the other person will tell you they are not safe, and the third person will tell you they can be safe if they are made of the right material. Now, the controversial part of this question and what makes it extremely difficult is and was that we usually cannot make potential damages from chemicals, from other cleaning methods, from brushes, and from other tools visible on leather. Because unlike our paint, which is shiny and which is reflective and on which we can make damages visible by strong light sources, leather usually is structured. It has a grain on it. It is matte, which makes it very, very hard and difficult to tell you if such tools create damage or not. That's why I spent the last couple of weeks and months coming up with a testing procedure in order to make these potential damages visible. What I did is, and now we have to talk a tiny little bit about leather theory, in 99.9% of cases, what you have in your car, and it does not matter if we talk about real or synthetic leather or vegan leather, which is just another fancy term for synthetic leather, what you have in your car is a painted leather, which means the tannery, those are the companies which create those leathers, they run the whole tannery process, and at the very end, these leathers get painted, or the better term is coated, which means you have a primer on there, you have the base coat, which gives the leather its color, and then at the last step, you have a top coat. Now, the top coat is the equivalent to clear coat, which you have on your car. However, this is exactly the one thing that many people don't understand because they cannot see this top coat. Now, what I did is the following. I got myself plexiglass sheets and I applied a top coat, which usually you have on your leather, on those plexiglass sheets. And now, for the very first time, I think, we can make a top coat visible. This very thin piece or sheet of, it's plastic at the end of the day, that's what you have on your car's leather. And the main purpose of gently and sustainably cleaning and caring for leather should be that we don't put too much stress on that top coat, because you can see how thin it is, and you see that it is not very, how can we tell it? It's not very stable. It is nowhere near as resistant as the clear coat that you have on the outside of your car. And think about how careful we are on the outside of a car to not induce the tiniest of micro scratches. So we now know how leather is built. We now know that we have a top coat on our leathers, and because I applied this top coat to a plexiglass sheet, we can for the first time test whether leather brushes are safe for leather or not. Because now we can see the damage that maybe or maybe not is created by those leather brushes. I also have several leather brushes by some of the leading brands in this field, so we can very thoroughly and conclusively test whether those brushes are safe or not. So let's start by me telling you which brushes I have for the test in this video. I have Colourlock as well as the Leather Repair Company. I would say those two companies are pretty much the industry leaders when it comes to care for leather. I also have two different brushes by the Leather Repair Company. I have the one from Gyeon, which is included in their leather kits. I have from Cult Car Care, which is a German, I would say, an influencer brand, and a brand which claims that this is the best, the safest, the most natural horsehair brush there is for leather care. I have another German influencer brand, which is Dope Fibers. And I have two Polish brands, which is ADBL as well as D Turner, with two different brushes here. So I would say we have a pretty good representation of what is around in the car care field when it comes to leather cleaning brushes. So the next part of this test you will see as a time lapse, because it is honestly rather boring. What I will do is I will use each and every one of those brushes in the same way, which means I will use it 20 times. I will go up and down, 10 times up, 10 times down, which means we have 20 cleaning cycles, which I personally think is a rather realistic scenario of how you would use it on your car's leather. I will use the brushes without any pressure, which means it is the gentlest way possible to use those brushes. And I will use them in conjunction with a mild leather cleaner, which is the one by the Leather Repair Company. I will also use a specialized leather cleaning foam, which is by the Austrian brand Ledermax, as a comparison. And after this test, we will look at the results. Now I tell you something, those results are extremely interesting and extremely impressive, and maybe it's a foregone conclusion, but in my personal opinion, this and what I will show you now is the final nail in the coffin of the leather cleaning brush. And I know, I can imagine what many of you think. We have been using these brushes for 20, 30, maybe 50 years in leather care, and that may be true, but we have also been thinking that the earth is a flat piece of sheet for several hundred years until we knew better. And with many other things in car care, we also adapted our techniques and products and tools because we know better by now. And maybe that sounds arrogant, but maybe this is the video which finally proves to anyone what some, but not all, leather experts have been saying for years, which is that the leather cleaning brush is not safe for cleaning leather, despite what everyone else is telling you. Let's have a look at the results. Now, once again, what you now see is the very reason why we have so much controversy when it comes to the question of how to safely clean leather. Because if I'm looking at the plate now, I could come to the conclusion that every single one of those brushes is indeed safe. But as soon as I turn this plate into a different angle, you clearly see, you brutally see that every single one of those brushes did in fact create a change in the surface of the leather's top coat. Every single one. The Colourlock one, the two Leather Repair Company ones, the Cult Car Care one, which is allegedly, according to the brand owner, the best and safest brush out there. So much to that. The Dope Fibers one, the Gyeon one, which I would almost say it's the worst result of them all, the ADBL one, the D Turner one, and the only surface that is completely untouched and unchanged is this one, where we used this sponge. And I honestly think I don't need to tell you anything more than that, because those results are absolutely obvious. Here from another angle, and as you can clearly see, with every single one of those brushes, we clearly created a change in the surface structure of the leather's top coat. Now, I really hope that this video was finally something which helped you understand what is going on in regards to cleaning and caring and protecting leather. Because you now saw what a top coat is. You can imagine yourself what is going on your leather. And most importantly, you saw what a leather cleaning brush is doing to your leather surface. Now, before you now comment that we have been cleaning shoes, leather shoes, for centuries with a brush, yes, that's true. But the single most important sentence in regards to leather is, leather isn't leather. Every leather is different. And a leather that you have in your car is completely different from a leather that you have on your shoes, which is completely different from a saddle leather for horses, which is completely different from leather that you maybe have on handbags. Every leather is different, and depending on which leather we talk about, the tannery processes and the finishing processes can be completely different from each other. And that's why it is usually okay to use a brush on shoes, whereas we clearly saw that we at least have a change in the surface structure or appearance on a car's leather. What I still struggle to understand is, why are we so hesitant to accept this when it comes to leather? Why are we facing so much resistance when we tell people that a leather brush isn't safe for leather, when we tell people that steam cleaners aren't safe for leather, when we tell people that high alkaline APCs or degreasers or solvent-based cleaners are not safe on leather? We have been saying that and telling people that for years now. Why is there so much resistance? I don't know. Maybe it is because you have rather high profit margins when you sell such a brush compared to a foam cleaner. Maybe it is because some of those brands would have to admit that what they have been telling you for years is obviously wrong. I don't know what the reason and what the root cause of this resistance is, but the fact of the matter is, we are seeing more and more evidence that what some leather experts have been telling you is in fact the truth. A leather cleaning brush is not safe for leather if you want to be aggressive in your terminology, or when you want to be a little bit more careful, you can say that a leather cleaning brush is not as safe as a foam cleaning sponge. Now, all of this begs one question. Why is it that some brands are so convinced when they tell you that their brushes are safe for leather? Because in my mind, I cannot imagine that those brands say something like that lightly. There needs to be some sort of testing where they think and they believe, honestly and truly, that their products, their brushes are safe for leather. And that brings me to something I have been very adamant to tell you, our viewers, and also other testers and brands in the past. There is a minimum requirement for proper scientific-based testing. And that minimum requirement is a test section. Because if I use such a brush, even if I would have had the idea to apply a top coat to such a piece of plexiglass, and if I clean over the whole surface, then I don't see that change. Because honestly, the surface still looks matte, and you could come to the conclusion, I understand that the brush is actually safe. However, if I only use it in one straight line motion, or if I tape off one half and use the brush on there, and the other half I leave untouched, then I see the change that I create. And I think, or I can imagine, that that is the reason that some brands tell you their brushes are safe, because they simply don't have the means to properly test them, don't have the necessary knowledge in regards to leather to test them, or simply forgot about it, didn't think about it. I don't know what it is, but I think proper testing procedures and methods could be, or the lack of them could be, one reason for this whole debacle. Now, this of course begs the question, why are so many brands giving us these leather brushes? Is it only this old-fashioned picture of cleaning and polishing shoes which has led them to believe that those brushes will be also safe for automotive leather? I personally think the reason why they give us such tools is another one. And if you're long enough in the detailing scene and if you have talked to enough chemists, you will realize that chemicals, cleaning chemicals, are always compromised between maximum safety for materials and users and maximum efficiency on the other hand. And only very, very, very few brands are capable to give us gentle pH neutral cleaners, which are also very capable. And if you're not capable of giving us such a cleaner, you're either going the route of giving us a slightly or highly alkaline cleaner, because that's much easier and cheaper to develop such a cleaner, or you give the consumers a pH neutral one, but you combine that with a leather brush, because then the cleaning action does not mainly or necessarily come from the cleaner, but from the mechanical abrasion from such a tool. At the end of the day, creating and developing a very, very capable pH neutral or close to pH neutral cleaner, which is very good at cleaning, and which means you don't really need a brush and that a non-abrasive foam cleaning sponge is enough to clean the leather. That's very difficult, that's very hard to do, and those are also not cheap. And I think that is the main reason why so many brands give us a leather cleaning brush. And with that conclusion, I'm leaving you to think about everything I said and everything that you saw in this video. If the video was helpful for you, please leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.